Hello, this is Ali, welcoming you to the 2081st edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline 19th of January 2017. The readers this week are John, Ali, Darren, Danny, with Phillip on the controls. The editor was Phillip and the production and distribution team is Keith, Jean and Lindsay. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include Incomprehensible. Man faces life term for brutal attack that left pregnant fiancée in persistent vegetative state. Before the news, we have one or two special news items and notices. First, the sunrise and sunset times for tomorrow, the 20th of January 2017, are 07:47 and 16:38. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020-8805-6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now Darren will read the first item of local news.
Thank you, Ali. And this story is, man faces life term for brutal attack that left pregnant fiancée in persistent vegetative state. A man who last week admitted stabbing his 8 months pregnant fiancée in the face, almost killing her, is expected to receive a lengthy jail term when he is sentenced next month. Petar Petrov, aged 31, a Bulgarian national of Densworth Grove, Edmonton, pleaded guilty at the Old Bailey on Thursday to the attempted murder of the mother of his unborn baby, leaving her for dead with severe bruising to her lungs and several facial fractures. The attack, which happened at the same address on Friday, August 5th last year, was so severe that the 30-year-old, whose baby was safely delivered by a caesarean section, has been in a coma in intensive care ever since. Petrov will be sentenced at the same court on February 10th. He had been in a relationship with the victim for just over a year after they had met working at a hotel in Knightsbridge in central London. The couple moved into the property in Edmonton in July 2016. Neighbours first reported hearing loud shouting and arguing from about 8 p.m. on August 5th, lasting about an hour. One resident recalled hearing a man shouting followed by a bang which sounded like a car crash. A member of the public then found Petrov lying on the floor looking unresponsive and believed he had been thrown through the first floor window as he was surrounded by blood and glass. He also had knife wounds to his body. The man provided immediate first aid and called police at about 9:15 p.m. When other neighbours came to help, the same man went into the flat to check on any other occupants and found the victim lying on the floor with injuries to her head and neck. At this point, he discovered that the woman was heavily pregnant, and he immediately began first aid with help over the phone from a paramedic. She was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries and remains in a critical condition. Due to the victim's condition and in order to save the baby's life, doctors performed an emergency caesarean section and the boy was born prematurely but with no physical injuries on August 9th. He is currently living with grandparents. Petrov was found with injuries consistent with falling from a height and self-inflicted wounds. He was taken to the Royal London Hospital in Hampstead and subsequently arrested and charged with attempted murder and attempted child destruction. Detective Inspector Chris Skelt of Enfield Police Community Safety Unit said, "This has been a truly shocking case. It is incomprehensible to think that a father-to-be could carry out such a violent and horrific attack on his fiancée knowing she was carrying their baby. I would like to commend the members of the public who were first at this distressing scene and who performed first aid on the injured parties and called the emergency services. Their quick actions and bravery were crucial in getting the victim the medical attention she needed, saving her child's life. Sadly, she remains in a persistent vegetative state. However, thankfully, her child was born without injuries via caesarean section. We conducted a robust and thorough investigation that has now led to Petrov's guilty plea. This will now mean that members of the public will no longer need to give evidence, forcing them to relive the terrible events of that night. Petrov has never revealed the motive behind his shocking attack. I urge anyone who is either in or knows a person in a relationship suffering domestic abuse to report incidents to police so that we can protect victims from further abuse and perpetrators can be brought to justice.
Olympic cyclist Joanna is backing Big Pedal 2017. Schools are invited to get involved in the Big Pedal 2017, a national challenge to get more young people cycling and scooting to school, backed by 2 times Olympic gold medalist cyclist Joanna Rousel-Shand. The Big Pedal 2017, which runs from March 20 to March 31, will involve thousands of pupils, teachers and parents leaving their cars at home and getting on their bikes and scooters for their journeys to and from school. Powered by national walking and cycling charity Sustrans and funded by the Bicycle Association on behalf of the cycle industry through its Bike Hub scheme, the Big Pedal is the largest competition of its kind in the UK. During the 10 days, participating schools will compete with one another to make the most journeys by bike or scooter. This year's theme is Around the World in 10 Days, with pupils tracking their progress on a map of the world, learning about the countries and cities they pass through on their way. Joanna Rousel-Shand is supporting the Big Pedal for the 2nd year running. One of the best British cyclists of her generation, Joanna has won 5 world titles across individual and team events and gold medals at the 2012 and 2016 Olympics. She said cycling is great for young people's health, confidence and independence. The safer and more comfortable they feel on their bikes, the more they will enjoy cycling. The Big Pedal campaign is a fantastic way for kids to cycle together whilst learning about the rules of the road in a fun, engaging way. I hope this year as many schools as possible will take part in the UK's largest school cycling and scooting event. For more information on the Big Pedal 2017, visit www.bigpedal.org.uk.
New games room at hospital so teens feel more at home. Teenagers and young adults undergoing treatment have opened a games room at a hospital to feel more at home. A team of patients at Whipps Cross Hospital in Leytonstone kitted out the room with a PlayStation, television and computer games. Rob Ross, a police officer who underwent treatment at the hospital as a child, completed a triathlon and raised £6,000 for the Great Games Room. Lexi Edwards, aged 16, who helped design the room, said, "Being able to have teenage activities is one of the best painkillers when we are in hospital." Simon Pitts, community manager at Bart's Charity, said, "It's all thanks to the hard work and dedication of Rob Ross, who puts so much effort into his fundraising."
SuperFly Guys. Fly tippers caught dumping rubbish in Enfield now face fines of £400 after the council decided to get tough. Enfield Council has doubled the penalty charge rate from £200, a move made possible as a result of new powers from the Deposit of Waste Fixed Penalties Regulations 2016. Enfield spends £4.5 million a year keeping the borough clean and clearing away rubbish dumped on the streets. The council's cabinet member for environment, Daniel Anderson, said, "Increasing the fine to £400 for those caught fly tipping not only brings us into line with the rest of London, but also gives out a strong, clear message that if we catch you trashing our borough, you'll pay a harsh penalty for the privilege." The council spends £4.5 million a year keeping the borough clean, and residents are absolutely sick and tired of putting up with people who think it's okay to dump all manner of rubbish on our streets. It's not, and it's time for those responsible to pay the price. We're investing considerable time and effort into identifying and catching the people who seem intent on undermining our beautiful borough. Quite simply, it's not okay to fly tip or drop litter. There are plenty of legal ways of disposing of waste, and we urge people to dispose of it in the correct, lawful way. It's either that or pay up. Residents can report fly tipping through the council website.
Trust chairman is stepping down from hospital role. Hospital Chief John Carrier is stepping down after 43 years of service to the NHS. Mr. Carrier, a lawyer and former Dean of Graduate Studies at the London School of Economics and Political Science, was appointed Chairman of North Middlesex University Hospital's Board of Trustees 3.5 years ago. He is leaving, not retiring, at the end of the month to concentrate on other work. Mr. Carrier acknowledged that the hospital, in Stirling Way, Edmonton, has had a rocky past year after failing a Care Quality Commission inspection and being threatened with closure, but he said it was now on a positive trajectory. He said, North Middlesex University Hospital NHS Trust has a committed and professional group of clinical staff who are strongly supported by equally committed non-clinical staff. My chairmanship has been a very satisfying and challenging experience. I have attempted to ensure the delivery of high-quality service to local people in the context of financial constraints. It has been a pleasure to work with a very motivated executive team and some experienced and highly motivated non-executive board directors. I particularly appreciated visiting and speaking to staff during my walkabouts in wards and departments, also chairing consultant and executive appointment committees for the insights it gave me into the high standards of senior surgical, medical and nursing staff. There have been some difficult times, but the hospital is now on a positive trajectory with a growing sense of confidence. I am proud to have been part of the long history of service to the local community and wish all patients, staff and non-executive directors well in the future. A former Camden councillor, Mr. Carrier took his first unpaid NHS role in 1974 as chairman of Camden Public Health Committee. As part of a long string of continuous work for the NHS, he was vice chairman at Hampstead Community Health Council and then took over as chairman at the Royal Free Hospital in 1997. Subsequently, he chaired the Camden Primary Care Trust and the North East London PCT Cluster before joining North Middlesex University Hospital's board in May 2013. Chief Executive Libby McManus said, John is an exceptionally dedicated individual. He has been an energetic and strong supporter of the hospital, our staff and patients through some challenging times. He has steered the board towards achieving the best results for our patients and staff. The whole hospital will join me in thanking him for his great contribution, and we wish him well in all his future commitments to public service. A new chairman of the board will be appointed by NHS Improvement and will start work on February the 1st.
Grandfather of 10 wins International Award. A grandfather of 10 has won an international award for his efforts to build community cohesion in a multicultural society. Dr. Shaukat Khan of Leytonstone, who was awarded a Community Excellence Award at the Pakistan Achievement Awards, is chairman of the Walthamstow Migrants Action Group and project manager of Waltham Forest Senior Citizens Asian Group. The 67-year-old said, I was very humbled to receive this award. Over the years, I have worked to raise issues such as racism. I think it is important to promote cohesion and to show the valuable contribution everyone can make.
Striker admits fraud. Former Premier League striker Nile Ranger has admitted an online banking fraud after a woman was fleeced out of more than £2,000. The 25-year-old Southend United footballer appeared at Wood Green Crown Court with two other people accused of conspiracy to defraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Ranger of Wood Green pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to defraud. He admitted conspiring with persons unknown to defraud a woman by obtaining her personal online banking details in February 2015. He transferred £2,090.23 from an HSBC account to a Santander account in an online transaction. Ranger pleaded not guilty to a second count of money laundering, with prosecutor Catherine Rabiotti telling the court that the charge will lie on file. Ranger began his career at Newcastle United, where he made appearances for England's under-19 team before moving to Southend United in 2012. Requesting a pre-sentence report for Ranger, Angus Bunyan, defending, told the court, "He's 25 years old, and although he has some previous convictions, the only serious one was 10 years ago or more." Ranger will be sentenced at a later date.
Group bridges gender gap. An elderly support group, which was awarded a £37,000 grant, is trying to bridge the gender gap. Waltham Forest Asian Seniors Group, which was set up 15 years ago, is made up of mostly Pakistani Muslim men. The group brings isolated members of the community together, but women do not attend. Project manager Dr. Shurkat Khan said, "We are trying to bring men and women together because we want to address issues such as domestic violence and different Islamic interpretations. But a lot of the men are not comfortable sitting next to a woman. Some of them feel that the women's needs are greater than theirs, so they would feel threatened if they joined. We now have female volunteers giving health checkups and teaching exercises, and the men are getting used to it." The group has approximately 60 members and was awarded a grant by the People's Health Trust last year.
Danielas' locks face the chop for charity. A kind-hearted mum of two is having 30 centimetres of her hair cut off to help children who are suffering from serious illness. Daniela Gabriel has had flowing locks that reach past her waist. Daniela Gabriel has had flowing locks that reach past her waist since the age of 12, but all that is about to change. Not only is the 33-year-old going for the chop, she is also donating her hair and the £1,069 she has raised to the Little Princess Trust, a charity which provides real hair wigs to children with cancer. Mrs. Gabriel, a former pupil at Enfield County School, who lives on the Willow Estate in Enfield, said, "A friend of mine donated her hair to the Little Princess Trust, and I've been thinking about it for a while. I put up a Just Giving page and thought I'd raise about £250, but people have been really generous. I can't believe I've raised so much. My little boy Joseph, who's 4, is really proud of me because I told him I was doing it for children who aren't very well. But my little girl, Mia Alexia, is only 18 months old, so she doesn't understand." Daniela, who works part-time in the family business Sprint Stationers in Oakwood, is hoping to raise even more ahead of the big cut on January 29th, and you can donate by going to the website www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Dani, DANI hyphen Gabriel, GAVRIEL1.
Battle to save marshes. Thousands are backing a campaign to save Leighton Marshes after plans emerged to build homes on the site. Waltham Forest Council is conducting a public consultation on its Lee Valley East Side vision, which includes proposals to develop sites close to the River Lee. The plans, which would include building at least 2,500 homes in the area over the next 10 years, earmarked the Waterworks site in Leabridge Road as one potential location for housing. However, the area is currently designated as Metropolitan Open Land, giving it similar protection to Greenbelt sites. Campaigners have hit back at the proposals, and a petition to protect the marshes from development has now reached more than 3,000 signatures. Abigail Woodman, who started the petition, said, "It is really quite a big bit of land, and what is concerning is that it is designated as Metropolitan Open Land. Metropolitan Open Land can only be rezoned in exceptional circumstances, and a shortage of housing is not exceptional. It has been going on for years. It should be protected. At the moment, it is open for the public to use. If it was rezoned, the land can be sold for development, and that sets an extremely dangerous precedent. Waltham Forest Council talks about making this a better place to live. Why would they not be protecting our green spaces?" The council is also seeking to release Metropolitan Open Land in order to redevelop the Lee Valley Ice Centre. This would include the demolition of the current ice centre and the construction of a new state-of-the-art facility. The consultation on the plans runs until January 31. To take part, visit walthamforest-consult.limehouse.co.uk/portal/Leabridge/Leighton.
Keep volunteering in mind. charity appeals for more people to help at its Enfield shop. A charity in Enfield is encouraging local residents to make volunteering one of their New Year's resolutions by signing up to help in its shop. Mental health charity Mind relies on the generosity of the community to keep the shop in Windmill Hill going, and needs people to help with tasks such as sorting, steaming, pricing, handling sales and customer service. Regional Manager Gordon Balfour said, "Volunteering at the Mind shop in Enfield is a great way to give something back to the local community, and it also provides a chance to develop new skills or build work experience, and can even support you in obtaining an NVQ. Our volunteers need no prior experience, and we just ask for a commitment of 2 to 3 hours per week. Shops provide a vital source of income for Mind and its army of over 1,800 volunteers across the country who give up their valuable time to help the stores run smoothly. Volunteering is not the only way to support the Mind shop in Enfield. Donating unwanted Christmas presents can be as good as making cash donations, as each bag of donations is worth about £30 to Mind, and good quality items can be worth even more. Items such as clothes, pairs of shoes, books and accessories are always welcome and help to raise money for Mind, which exists to make sure anyone with a mental health problem has somewhere to turn to for advice and support. Proceeds from all donations will fund the charity's work, such as the Mind Info Line, information and advice services, as well as the campaigning Mind does to secure a better deal for the 1 in 4 people who experience a mental health problem every year. To register your interest in volunteering at the Mind shop in Enfield, or to find out more about donating, visit, and I'm afraid it's another lot of WWs, www.mind.org.uk/mindshops, or pop into the shop at 43 Windmill Hill, Enfield, EN2 7AE. And there's a footnote: for more information on volunteering or donating at the Mind shop in Enfield, please phone 0203 583 3020 or enfieldshop@mind.org.uk.
Volunteers cook for needy. Members of the community banded together to help the homeless and others living in need this winter. Volunteers from 2 United Synagogues in Barnet and Edgware made a menu of vegetarian treats. On top of the feasts produced, residents donated food, as well as socks and underwear, to the Homeless Action in Barnet Day Centre. Barnet Session Coordinator Miriam Marson said, "It was with great team spirit members of Barnet Shul community joined forces on the bank holiday to cook meals for those in need. Meals will be distributed to the elderly, bereaved, or anyone unable to cook."
Mural of actor unveiled. Students at a school hosted a street artist to paint a mural of actor Terry Sue Patt. Frederick Bramer School in Sidley Road, Walthamstow, welcomed Dave Nash, who was a friend of the actor, who died in May 2015. Mr. Sue Patt, who played Benny Green in the TV series Grange Hill, was honoured by Waltham Forest Council for his contribution to community cohesion as an actor and as an artist. The event was part of the school's celebration of diversity in the community programme. The unveiling was the second visit to the school by the artist. Last year the school hosted Mr. Nash to celebrate Black History Month.
Theatre Review. It's a smash hit. Beauty and the Hulk at the Millfield Theatre. Imagine the traditional tale of Beauty and the Beast. Throw in a load of high-energy street dance, some mad scientists with an evil plan, and the Hulk, and there you have it, Beauty and the Hulk. This punchy pantomime, produced and presented by Platinum Performing Arts, begins, traditionally, with Blues and Pinky, 2 fairy godmother-type narrators who look and sound like Essex girls on a night out. Resplendent in pink and blue, as the name suggests, get it? Fake tan, blonde wigs, false eyelashes and killer heels, these two tell the story of Belle's adventure into the woods to escape from her nagging mum, who keeps telling her to settle down and get married. The first half begins in Palace Gardens. The prince, who later becomes the Hulk, snubs Dee, Arena Lewis, who has always fancied him, and her protective brother Dexter, Kyle Murray. Fast forward a decade and the evil siblings are all grown up, but still hell-bent on revenge, and now with a bit of science training under their belts. They have a lab full of incredible dancing, backflipping scientists who turn the prince and his sister into Hulk, Des Jordan, and She-Hulk, Faye Edwards, and doom them to life in the Forgotten Castle, where nobody can ever leave and where love is dead. When Belle, expertly played by Catherine Themis, makes a break from family life with the 2 of her 8 siblings, she has no idea the trio are about to discover the castle of misfits, 4 broken robotic characters who were earlier experiments by the terrible duo, and perform some of the best moves in the show, or to meet her true love, who will also be the Hulk. Confused? Don't worry, it gets easier. Belle leaves behind her not-so-secret admirer, Billy Bob Shane, LaShane Williams, and her mum, Priscilla, Lorraine Hunt, a larger-than-life pantomime dame who is a pleasure to watch with her comic quips and Essex banter. They follow her into Fairy Tale Lane, the Dark Forest and the Forgotten Castle, where finally, after a bit of confusion, it is a pantomime after all, order is restored. Belle falls for the Hulk, despite the way he looks, and they kiss. But they're too late. The final red petal has fallen from the rose, which means he will always be green and huge and wearing ill-fitting clothes, as with his sister She-Hulk. A nice twist on the Disney ending, where the beast transforms back into the prince after love's true kiss. Belle seems happy enough, and they all finish off with a big knees up, a royal wedding, and of course some more street dance. And why not? Beauty and the Hulk continues its run until Sunday the 22nd of January.
Hospital's new building hits the heights. Staff at Chase Farm Hospital held a special topping out ceremony as the final layer of concrete for a new building, due to open next year, was put down. The building at the hospital in the Ridgeway Enfield will replace what was the former accident and emergency and maternity departments, and will provide outpatient services including diagnostics, musculoskeletal therapies and women's services. It will also house an urgent care centre, paediatrics, an older persons assessment unit, theatres, day surgery, 50 surgical inpatient beds, endoscopy, medical day cases and a chemotherapy unit. The building is scheduled to open to the public in the autumn of 2018. I cannot thank everyone enough for their hard work in getting the project to this point, said Sir David Sloman, Chief Executive of the Royal Free London NHS Foundation Trust. It's fantastic that we can all now see the plans becoming a reality. The new hospital will offer facilities which will improve the experience of our patients and help us to attract and retain the very best clinical expertise, he added. I am looking forward to the day when we start to welcome patients and our staff to our new hospital.
What has happened to the White Bear pub? Neighbours have expressed fear for their safety as the demolition of an old pub has gone forward while apparently causing nearby homes to shake. The White Bear in the borough's Hendon was torn down last month after 7 years of rejected planning applications from Platinum Riverside Limited. Platinum recently secured permission from Barnet Council to build on the land on the condition the demolition was only partial, a condition residents claim has been invalidated. Residents in the boroughs lobbied the council to block construction as out of character for the old building. Brad Blitz, a professor at Middlesex University and boroughs resident, said, "This demolition comes at the end of our 7-year campaign opposing work that would spoil the character of our street, which proudly boasts buildings from a mix of eras. I live in a house with no foundation and felt tremors during the demolition. It was not approved by the council, so it was unbelievable to see it go ahead. The site is being developed by Platinum, which is the property freeholder, as 7 apartments collectively known under the project name The Location. Platinum said, "Careful analysis of the structure showed it could not be partially demolished and would have to come down fully. The council is currently investigating whether or not the developer undertook more demolition work than was agreed. It said new applications to demolish fully were accepted on the condition the reconstructed building was in keeping with the White Bear." Platinum said they researched the quarry which supplied the original stones in 1936 and materials will be replicated. Company director Isaac Salem said, "Engineers were instructed to provide a report into the impact of the groundworks on the neighbouring properties. The groundworks are not expected to create significant levels of noise or vibration. In the unlikely event any unexpected damage is caused, we are committed to undertaking necessary repairs in a safe and timely fashion." Barnet Council put a temporary stop on the works to ensure no damage could occur to nearby protected trees and listed buildings. Planning Committee Chairman Councillor Melvin Cohen said, "The unlawful demolition of any building in the borough is something we take extremely seriously. The council's planning enforcement team is currently investigating the circumstances of this case and will consider what action may be appropriate."
You just have to take your life in your hands. Traffic outside school puts lives in danger, say parents. Worried parents are up in arms about the safety of their children outside a school. They are campaigning for a crossing or a lollipop lady to be installed outside the primary school before a pupil is knocked down. Scores of them have been in touch with Enfield Council to ask for safety measures outside Oakthorpe Primary School in Trampoline Lane, Palmer's Green, where cars speed past, making it almost impossible to cross. Mum of 3, Climmy Nunez of Millicent Grove, Palmer's Green, walks her kids to Oakthorpe every day. She is terrified there will be a serious accident and says drivers have no regard for the hundreds of people who cross there every day. "We literally run for our lives every morning," she said. "There's a group of us and one of the parents will step out into the road and then we'll all run when she says it's safe. It's so unsafe. It terrifies me. It's a disgrace that outside a school there's nothing, no help to get across. You just have to take your life in your hands." Mrs. Nunez has been in touch with the council on several occasions, but claims she has been told that unless there has been a serious accident or a fatality, pedestrian crossing isn't a priority. She says the school is supporting the campaign, but it is ultimately up to the council to take action. Head teacher Anne Del Greco echoed her support and said, "We are aware of parents' concerns and are talking to the council about finding a permanent solution." A council spokesman said, "We are committed to improving safety around schools and we absolutely understand parents' concerns around traffic in Trampoline Lane. We are reviewing how best to improve road safety outside this and other schools in the borough."
Dear Justine, pet advice. Why is my cat losing weight? Dear Justine, my cat Petal is always hungry. I feed her loads, but she's never satisfied. What worries me is that she is actually losing weight. I took her to a vet who did blood tests, which showed that she may have liver disease. He recommended doing a liver biopsy to be sure, but I'm reluctant to put my middle-aged Moggy through surgery unless absolutely necessary. What would you advise? Writes Josephine Fry of Enfield. My gut feeling is that Petal's symptoms could be the result of an overactive thyroid. This is not an unusual problem in cats as they get older. The thyroid is an important gland which controls body temperature and weight, metabolism, heart rate, growth and brain development in young animals, as well as muscle tone and skin condition. It releases hormones to control these things, but if the levels get out of balance, it can produce just the kind of symptoms that you describe in Petal. Carrying out a full set of blood tests, including the thyroid level, is the only way to be sure either way. In cats, hyperthyroidism is almost always caused by a benign tumour in the thyroid gland. This stimulates the thyroid to release too much hormone, which speeds up the metabolism, hence the weight loss despite a ravenous appetite. cats are not the only pets to suffer with thyroid problems as they get older. The difference is that cats generally get hypothyroidism, while hypothyroidism is more common in middle-aged, medium to large breed dogs. Dogs' thyroids can deteriorate or get inflamed as they get older, and they tend to gain weight and become lethargic. You'll often see them looking for warm places in the home to snuggle up, and their coat starts looking less healthy. They often get recurrent skin and ear problems as well. A thyroid hormone replacement taken orally will usually solve the problem. For cats, the gold standard therapy is radioactive iodine treatment, which is usually effective but not always a feasible option for every cat. Medication, surgery, or dietary therapy using a food with reduced iodine content are also good alternatives. Although thyroid disease can sometimes be tricky to diagnose, once confirmed and a treatment option is chosen, most pets do really well. Fingers crossed for Petal, writes Justine Berger, who is head vet at Village Vet in Finchley.
Rapper is jailed for film torture. A rapper has been jailed after he imprisoned, raped and tortured a woman in an attack that chillingly mirrored scenes from a film partially shot in Waltham Forest. Courtney Hutchinson, known by the rap name DVS, brutally beat a 20-year-old woman over 3 days, burning her skin with a heated iron. He was jailed for 23 years on Monday after he admitted rape and false imprisonment on the second day of his trial at Snaresbrook Crown Court, held last July. The rapper, originally from Brixton, started punching and kicking his victim soon after she arrived at a flat he was using in Beckton on February the 5th, 2016. The following morning, Hutchinson continued the abuse, pushing the legs of a chair into her stomach, dragging her around by her hair and whipping her repeatedly with a phone charger cable. The 32-year-old pressed a heated iron onto her exposed skin several times before holding it above her face and demanding she burn herself as she pleaded with him to stop. The attack echoed scenes from The Intent, a crime thriller co-produced by Leytonstone filmmaker Nikki Slimting Walker, in which the rapper starred. The movie contained a sequence in which Hutchinson uses an iron to torture a man strapped to a table. Producers said the final edit of the film was completed in September 2015, 5 months before the attack was carried out, and they were shocked and appalled by the heinous crime. During his trial, the court heard how Hutchinson raped his victim and told her she would die the next day, counting down the hours. On February the 7th, he forced her into a hot shower and stamped on her burns. She was left with 40 injuries, including a fractured eye socket, broken nose, dislocated shoulder, a stab wound to the hand, and severe burns. The victim finally saw an opportunity to escape and fled naked into the street. Hutchinson, also naked, ran after her, saying, "I've got you now," before a member of the public intervened. He was arrested on February the 10th and pleaded guilty to GBH with intent in April. Detective Sergeant Jimmy Teeley from Newham Police said, "I would like to praise the bravery and determination of the victim of this truly harrowing ordeal." Courtney Hutchinson subjected his victim to the most shocking and repeated levels of violence. The level of violence he inflicted was so severe it demonstrated his total disregard for the victim as a human being, subjecting her to levels of callousness and danger that are rarely seen.
Composer lines up with homeless charity for opera chorus. A classical music composer has teamed up with homeless Londoners to perform an opera chorus as part of a charity music project. Letha F. Thimiou, 36, from Palmer's Green, who writes contemporary classical music, joined forces for the project with Streetwise Opera, a national programme aimed at helping people who have experienced homelessness to make positive changes in their lives. The charity offers free singing and acting sessions to provide support and new skills, and also welcomes adults who are keen to get involved but aren't homeless. Letha has been working with 40 members who will perform the 5-minute opera chorus at a free performance next spring at a London venue. She composed the music to the lyrics for the opera called River Song, which was written by members during their weekly workshops. The group were given a statement and question on the theme of a river on which they based the opera. The song is about community spirit and building bridges and making a man-made disaster, explained Letha. Members have attended workshops at Homeless Centre, The Passage in Westminster, Crisis Skylight in East London, and the South Bank Centre Arts and Community venue near Waterloo. Singing in a group is a cathartic experience, and the workshops allow them to forget about their daily lives and refocus, and I think that's brilliant, said Letha. Having worked as a professional composer for more than 10 years, she has won a number of awards, including the Director's Prize in the prestigious Isabel Bond Gold Medal competition, which celebrates the success of leading performers. She is currently studying for a PhD in composition at Bristol University. I hope the audience will gain a good sense of the fun and work that has gone into generating the music and the lyrics, which was a collaborative process, she added.
Sexual health advice sessions for teenagers. Free advice about contraception and sexual health is being offered to teenagers in Enfield. Confidential help will be available each week at walk-in sessions at the town clinic in Burley Way every Monday and Wednesday for young people up to 18 years old. Relationship guidance will be offered by specialist nurses, and young people can receive advice by text. Advice for Enfield residents of all ages is also available without the need to pre-book appointments. Crystal Fonyanga, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Public Health, said, "The town clinic, located right in the heart of Enfield, offers a free confidential service to every resident in Enfield who is worried about any contraception or sexual health issue. But now, to make things even easier, it is offering 2 days a week specially dedicated to helping young people. No appointment is needed. Just walk in and speak informally to any one of the specialist nurses about any issues you might have on pregnancy, contraception, STIs, or anything else related to sexual health. In our young person's clinic, you can also text one of the nurses for advice or help. It really couldn't be more convenient."
Barnstorming tribute to Dire Straits. In the pantheon of all-time great rock supergroups, Dire Straits are up there with the best. The legendary band had a string of chart-topping hits during the 1980s and 1990s, with worldwide record sales of more than 100 million. And fans can enjoy their memorable music again on Saturday night, when tribute band Dire Straits UK play a concert in Enfield, performing at the Black Barn on the 40 Hall estate in 40 Hill. The 6-piece outfit were formed just over 2 years ago by professional musician and recording engineer David Phillips, after he quit his full-time job at a music school. As a Christmas present to my father, who was a big Dire Straits fan, I took him to see a tribute band. He said he was none too impressed and thought I could do better. After assembling a band of exceptionally talented musicians, we spent more than a year rehearsing, because I not only wanted to replicate the intricate musical arrangements, but also wanted to emulate the concert performances. It's that attention to detail which sets us apart from the other Dire Straits tribute acts, David explained. He says the show is more about the authentic sound than trying to impersonate the band visually, although in his role as frontman Mark Knopfler, David promises the trademark headband will make an appearance. Supporting Dire Straits UK at the Black Barn will be experimental jazz combo Space Cake. Tickets cost £10, doors open at 7:30 p.m, and there is a licensed bar.
Tasty top-up for breakfast. A school which caters for children and young adults with special needs has been given a cash boost to buy new equipment for its breakfast club. Oak Tree School in Chase Side, Southgate, where the students are aged from 7 to 19, received a £200 donation from cereal company Kelloggs, which runs a breakfast club network. Oaktree is a member of the network, which provides practical resources to help with the running of breakfast clubs at schools across England. It was selected from hundreds of other schools who participate in the initiative. "We're so grateful to receive this generous donation," said Richard Yarwood, Oaktree's head teacher. "We have since been able to purchase a new television and videos for our club." Kate Prince, Corporate Social Responsibility Manager at Kelloggs, said, "We believe all children should have the opportunity to start the day with breakfast, but equipment and resources are just as important to clubs as the food itself. We're proud to be able to support so many schools across the UK. Kellogg's has supported breakfast clubs since 1998 and currently has 3,000 schools signed up to its network. To join the network, schools can email breakfastclubuk@kellogg.com.
Impressive transformation. When the former Willow pub shut in Winchmore Hill Road, there was no love lost. As a consequence, neighbours in this picturesque part of Enfield weren't sure about the reopening, even under the new name of the Winchmore a couple of years down the line. But new owners, a sibling partnership, Mark and Ima Walsh, have poured oil and wine, beer and gin on troubled waters, soothed residents and transformed the place into a cosy local with top-notch food. Boasting a love of children and dogs, we took the lot, minus the hound, 2 adults and 3 children. It's never a comfortable experience eating out with young children, with groans of, "Ugh, what's that?" spilt water, splattered furniture, and an inability to sit still. But I can honestly say this was the exception to the rule. 3 of us chose the Sunday roast. 1 roast boned and rolled pork belly, and 2 roast topside of beef. They were all served with roast potatoes, glazed carrots, Savoy cabbage, cauliflower cheese, Yorkshire pudding, and red wine gravy. It looked and smelt delicious, and the taste wasn't just good, it was exceptional. The veg was cooked to perfection, caramelised carrots, amazing roast potatoes, with just the right amount of roast on the outside and fluff on the inside, and the meat was melt in the mouth. The food is sourced locally from farms, artisan cheesemakers and farmers' markets, and the taste reflects dedication to perfection. The younger 2, aged 6 and 4, sitting patiently with colouring books and crayons, kindly provided by the smiling waitress, had homemade fish goujons, baked beans and homemade chips. There was a little wobble when the food arrived, when the middle one declared the chips looked weird, basically not frozen fries, until he tried them and announced they were actually good. A cue for the younger one to tuck in. There was bliss for a whole 5 or 10 minutes of eating, a rare pleasure within the Gannett family. All this was followed by vanilla and chocolate ice cream and sticky toffee puddings, again really good. Gluten-free based pizzas are available from the enormous pizza oven. There are gin, wine and whiskey tasting events, as well as dance classes, drama classes, and various groups meet in the upstairs rooms. With its intimate snugs and roaring log fire, tasteful paintwork, quirky artwork and historical artefacts, the Winchmore is a lovely pub and a great addition to the neighbourhood. Judging by the number of people in there, and the fact we had to book really early to get a table, it seems the locals have stopped worrying about the threat of antisocial behaviour and noise after 10 p.m, and embraced their new boozer with open arms.
Man treated following fire. A man required hospital treatment following a blaze at his Southgate home last Thursday morning. The man was able to escape from the terraced house in Russell Road before firefighters arrived, but suffered smoke inhalation. More than 20 firefighters in 4 fire engines tackled the blaze, which broke out shortly after 7:40 a.m. and damaged part of the first floor of the house before it was brought under control just after 9 a.m.
Spring in the air. The joint was really jumping at the official launch of Enfield's bounciest new attraction on Saturday. Springs twanged as hundreds of fun seekers enjoyed bouncing around at the newly opened indoor trampoline park at Lumina Industrial Park, Lumina Way, just off the A10 Great Cambridge Road. The large hangar-like venue is run by Jump In, which already operates trampoline parks in Slough, Warwick and Tunbridge. It can accommodate more than 100 jumpers at any one time, and is equipped with interconnected trampolines, a max air trampoline, foam pits, padded walls, a designated zone for children, and a soft play area for toddlers, as well as dodgeball. The response has been fantastic, said the trampoline park's general manager, Manit Bazal. People seem really happy that it's here, and we're delighted to be adding a new fun and family-orientated facility to the region. It was great to see so many children, adults and families jumping and enjoying the space over the weekend, and we look forward to welcoming as many jumpers as possible over the coming weeks, she added.
How self-taught Jack the lad became a managing director. A beloved father who lived to the age of 100 is to be remembered at a funeral on Saturday. Gaston Jack Strowger worked in Enfield for 35 years at Thorn Electrical Industries in Great Cambridge Road, which became one of the first pioneers to supply modern fluorescent lamps in Europe. Friends and family referred to him by his middle name, Jack, and he was originally from the village of Kessingland in Suffolk, where he grew up with 2 brothers and 1 sister. Despite many of his family members becoming fishermen, it was not a career choice that appealed to Jack, who lived in Newsholme Drive, Winchmore Hill. He hated the sea, recalls his 76-year-old son, Geoffrey. He didn't want to become a fisherman, and he didn't even like going in the sea. After moving to South London as a teenager, Jack held various jobs before working for 10 years at the London Electric Company, an electrical supplies and equipment business. He then moved north to Cockfosters and started working at Thorn Electrical in 1945, first as a general clerk in the accounts department, and gradually worked his way up to be promoted to managing director, where he was in charge of cost accounting. He didn't have any qualifications, so he taught himself, explained Geoffrey. Jack met his wife of 71 years, Catherine, whom he called Kit, at a soirée through a mutual friend who was the pianist and host at the evening party. He met the love of his life that night, added Geoffrey. He wasn't very keen on music, but my mother was. The couple had 3 children, Geoffrey, Clive and Anne, as well as 9 grandchildren and 14 great-grandchildren. Growing up, Jack was a keen footballer and was scouted for Queen's Park Rangers, but was not allowed by his parents to pursue that avenue. He did, however, support both Ipswich Town and Norwich City. He didn't regret not playing football professionally, as it didn't have the financial aspect it does today, and he got his stardom in a different way, said Geoffrey, when he became the managing director. Jack was a keen sportsman and played for the company's cricket team. He was awarded a CBE for services to industry in 1976, and his certificate took pride of place in his room. He also received a medal. After leaving Thorn Electrical, by then Thorn EMI, in 1980, Jack took up the role of chairman of Hornby Hobbies after meeting a merchant banker who asked for his help to restore the company's financial situation, and he worked there for 16 years before retiring in 1996. His funeral service is taking place at New Southgate Crematorium in Brunswick Park Road at 11 a.m. on Saturday. His family have requested that instead of floral tributes, donations should be made to the Leonard Cheshire Disability Charity.
And here are a few letters and some information about what's on. Is this as good as policy making is going to get? This is a letter from Peter W. Gibbs, chairman of the Federation of Enfield Residents and Allied Associations. Residents at Enfield Council's Scrutiny Committee meeting last Wednesday, January the 10th, saw governance in Enfield at its most exasperating. Councillor Terry Neville called on Councillor Daniel Anderson to explain why extending Cycle Enfield without adequate evidence of benefit and fully consulting the electorate was in the public interest. Mr. Anderson's response was to restate the need to limit pollution. He avoided any direct linkage between need and remedy because, as we know, with Cycle Enfield, there is none. No wonder residents ask if this is really the way public policy should be formulated and large sums of money spent. Is this as good as it gets in Enfield? Residents know that behind this scheme lies Transport for London. Cycle tracking is now being driven down major roads in the city, but there is no evidence to link this investment with real benefits to the community. Actually, vehicle congestion and pollution have risen, as is obvious to all, and hindrance to emergency services is an everyday occurrence. Why does Enfield Council want this here too? Cycle London is failing because its aims are confused. It seeks to control vehicle volumes by narrowing arterial roads. Cycle trucks are the moral camouflage to make loss of road capacity palatable to the electorate. It won't work. Encouraging safe cycling is justified when applied, as on the continent, to link suburban residential areas directly to popular destinations, schools, shops and transport hubs, etc. Quiet ways, safer and healthier, with low impact on main traffic routes. That's what cyclists want and what we advocate in Enfield. Why can't we have it and keep our traffic moving too?
Don't pretend cuts to budget had no effect. This is a letter from Councillor Alan Sitkin, who is Enfield Council Cabinet Member for Economic Regeneration and Business, and is a response to a letter titled Minimal Cost of Putting Up Lights from January 11th. It goes like this. I do not know Thelma Jones and cannot explain her letter to you. She ignores the obvious facts that equipment like lighting gets old and eventually unsafe, requiring replacement, which does have a cost, contrary to what she claims. She also says that insurance covers normal depreciation, which is clearly wrong, and she positively invents my saying certain things about Cycle Enfield, a totally different topic, by the way. Many Enfield residents, including myself, are distressed by the increasingly post-truth nature of public debates nowadays. She refers to a cynical political agenda, but the only one I know of locally is the willingness of certain parties, starting with Enfield Council's minority Tory group and its sympathisers, to pretend that the huge 60% cut in central government funding that the council has suffered since 2010 need not have an effect on our budget. That is wrong and totally betrays our shared interest. Were the council to receive nearly as much funding as it did before 2010, it would, of course, be delighted to pay for more Christmas lighting, among many other items.
And the next is Help for Veterans from Josephine Bay, who is Programme Director of the Aged Veterans Counselling. January can be a particularly hard time of year for the elderly, with many men and women suffering from depression. The end of the festive season can bring on feelings of loneliness and anxiety, but others are struggling because of bereavement, marital problems, or a whole host of other issues, and yet receive very little help from the NHS. Aged Veterans Counselling, a government-backed organisation supported by veterans' charities, offers a free counselling scheme to anyone born before 1950 who is in the military or completed national service. Incidentally, most men over the age of 66 did complete national service and will therefore qualify. Aged Veterans Counselling is able to offer vital support to those in need, providing up to 6 free counselling sessions in the comfort of their own home, provided by accredited professionals, which has proven to have an immensely positive impact on those who participate. So can I ask your readers to spare a thought for loved ones, friends, neighbours or someone in their care who might qualify and benefit from this free counselling service? They can contact in confidence Aged Veterans Counselling on 0300 0120 247 or online at www.agedveteranscounselling.org.uk.
And I have a letter from Councillor Crystal von Younger, Enfield Council Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Public Health. And under the heading Resolve to Get Active This Year, she writes, Make 2017 the year you get more active. It's fun, great for your health and doesn't have to be expensive. Enfield Council launched its Move More Enfield campaign last year, promoting the easy ways you can start getting fit without needing to buy expensive fitness equipment. For example, you can leave the car at home and walk where you can, get off public transport one stop earlier, or take the stairs instead of using the lift. The council is working with its leisure partners to make sure there is a wide range of sports and recreational activities that suit every level of fitness. It really has never been easier to bring physical activity into your life, whatever your age. Why not join the record numbers of visitors using the council's sporting and leisure facilities? Visit our website to find out more. Enfield is one of the greenest boroughs in London, with many beautiful parks and open spaces which can be enjoyed for free. Many parks now have green gyms, which are free, and sports pitches which can be used by anyone. Why not get involved and help inspire others to get active by sharing what you are doing to move more by using #MoveMoreEnfield on Facebook and Twitter. We'll pick the best posts and pictures and share them on our social media pages. Wishing you a happy and healthy new year. Councillor Crystal von Younger.
And here's a letter from Sharon Roberts, Regional Head of Diabetes UK Eastern. Inspired to help. We are searching for those unsung heroes in the community who go above and beyond what is expected of them to help support people with diabetes. Every year, thousands of people volunteer hours of their time to Diabetes UK and make a real difference to the lives of those living with the condition. The East of England Inspire Awards are a chance to thank them for their contributions. From fundraising and campaigning to supporting others, there are lots of ways that volunteers help support people with diabetes. Nominations for 2017 are now open and will close on February the 17th. Our winners are chosen by judging panels across the UK and will be presented with their award at a conference in the Eastern region later in the year. Visit www.diabetes.org.uk/inspire and nominate to find out more.
This next item is a column from Enfield Council Conservative Group Leader Terry Neville, and it's about the NHS. During the past 2 weeks, the NHS has grabbed the headlines away from Brexit. At this time of the year, there is nothing unusual about that. Winter brings with it much more illness across the age spectrum, particularly among the elderly, and is more often than not exacerbated by a flu outbreak. So, without seeking to minimise the present situation in any way, we should at least remember that this is the season of greatest pressure on the NHS. So what is different this year that has caused the gloom and doom headlines? It is, it seems, the fact that so-called bed blocking is at a higher level than is normally the case. We shouldn't be surprised at this, because most of us have been aware for the past 30 years or so of what the civil servants call longevity, i.e. the fact that we are all living longer than our parents and their parents. The problem in truth has been the figurative ticking time bomb for all recent governments. So what is to be done? Well, if one of the causes is bed blocking, i.e. the inability of the NHS to discharge elderly patients because they lack facilities for their ongoing care, we need, as a society, to tackle that problem. One of the obvious structural changes required is the integration of care of the elderly with the NHS, so that one body has complete responsibility. But there is the far more deep-rooted problem of how care for the elderly is to be paid for, and that has proved to be the intractable one that national politicians have, to their shame, shied away from. We need to address this now. It will not go away, and without action, it will get worse year on year.
Next, some information about what's on at the Chicken Shed Theatre, which has a big weekend of entertainment. Comedy night, a fantastic evening headlined by The Pin and Liam Williams. On the 27th of January, tickets bought in advance cost £10 and the show starts at 8 p.m. It's classical. Julian Mark Stringle presents a brilliant jazz fusion of old classic melodies and Latin rhythms. The show is on the 28th of January, and tickets bought in advance cost £20, and the show starts at 7 p.m. Joe Collins and Friends, a night of live music featuring eclectic covers and a chance to join the band in open mic. For more information, please call the box office on 020 8292 9222 or online at www.chickenshed.org.uk.
And now I've got a meeting that you might be interested in. It's the North Central London Primary Care Joint Co-Commissioning Committee. It's a bit of a mouthful. Members of the public and staff are invited to attend a meeting of the North Central London Primary Care Joint Co-Commissioning Committee to be held in public on Wednesday the 25th of January 2017 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. It will be at the Committee Room, Holbrook House, Enfield CCG, Cockfosters Road, Barnet, EN4 0DR. Copies of the agenda and meeting papers will be available at www.enfieldccg.nhs.uk. There will be an opportunity to ask questions relating to the agenda at the start of the meeting, and also the chance to meet members of the committee for an informal chat at the end of the meeting. Tea and coffee will be provided. Further information is available from Fraser Tams, who spells his, I believe, name, Tams, via email at f.tams@nhs.net, or you can phone 020 3688 2972.
Friends of Arnos Park will hold their AGM and an open meeting on Wednesday the 25th of January at 7:45 p.m. This will be at Southgate Beaumont Care Community, 15 Cannon Hill, N14 7DJ. Find out about the works of the Friends of Arnos Park and progress so far. All are welcome.
And staying with Southgate, if you're a fan of blues music, then it's good news because the St Harmonica's Blues Club returns to St Monica's Parish Centre from the Friday the 27th of January. So it's Friday 27th of January from 8 o'clock p.m. to 11:30 p.m. And the programme is as follows. On January 27th, it will be the Paramount Blues Band. The following week, February the 3rd, is the Custom Tones. And the week after that, February the 10th, is a half-term blues jam. That's at St Monica's Parish Centre, Cannon House, 6 Cannon Hill, N14 7HG.
Southgate Opera presents Iolanthe by Gilbert and Sullivan from Wednesday the 1st of February until Saturday the 4th of February. Performances are at 7:30 p.m, plus on Saturday a matinee at 2:30 p.m. at the Williots Theatre, Darks Lane, Potters Bar, EN6 2HN. For tickets, please call the box office on 01707 645 005.
And looking further ahead, there's an Enfield Chamber Orchestra concert on Saturday the 11th of March at 7:30 p.m. The price is £12 or £10 for concessions. Children under 16 are free. It will take place at Enfield Baptist Church, Cecil Road, Enfield, EN2 6TG. The concert programme includes Mozart, Symphony No. 40, Vivaldi, Double Mandolin Concerto in G Major, transcribed for 2 guitars, and the soloists being Warren Alexander and Andrew Scott, and a performance by Danilo Della Cruz, winner of the Enfield Young Musicians Concerto Audition, sponsored by the Enfield Music Service. The conductor is Martin Smith and the leader Sarah Colley. For more information or to book tickets, there are 2 email addresses or web addresses: www.enfieldchamberorg, and that's orch.org.uk, or info@enfieldchamberorg.uk. enfield.org.uk, or you can telephone 020 8360 4980.
And Enfield Music Service is holding an open day on Saturday the 28th of January between 9:15 and 12:30 at Hounsfield School in Hounsfield Road, N9 7RA. Children and young people are invited to come and try a range of instruments such as violin, cello, brass instruments, flute, clarinet, saxophone, guitar, keyboard, and many more. Others are invited to come and listen or take part in such activities as a music club for Year 1 and Year 2 pupils at 11:30, Saturday Singers Choir for Year 3 to 6 pupils at 10:20, Beginner and Intermediate Keyboard Clubs 9:15 and 10:20, Music Theory classes 10:45 and 12:05, Steel Pans Adult Group 10:15, Steel Pans Junior Group 11:30, Keyboard Band 11:30, and Ukulele Club 9:25. In order to find out any more details, you would need to phone 0208 807 8881.
And now the sport, and we start with Enfield Town's latest performance. Leaders are held. Enfield Town failed to get maximum reward for another excellent performance as they had to make do with a 1-1 draw from their trip to table-topping Bognor Regis Town in the Ryman Premier Division on Saturday. The informed visitors took an early lead through Ricky Gabriel and maintained their advantage until the interval, but Elijah Adebayo equalised 12 minutes into the second half, and both teams failed to take advantage of a number of chances to add to their tally before a hugely entertaining clash reached its conclusion. "I feel like it was 2 points dropped," said town manager Bradley Quinton. "We're playing some fantastic football at the moment, and so many teams are saying we're the best side they've played against this season. Some of our football has been great to watch, but we're just not putting teams to bed and are not putting the ball in the net on a consistent enough basis. The support we had was tremendous. It was fantastic to see so many people make the long trip to support us, and we all really appreciate it." Just 5 minutes had been played when Town broke the deadlock, Gabriel forcing the ball over the line after a corner from the left had been flicked on. Scott Shulton and Billy Crook both fired wide as the visitors continued to press, while Tyler Campbell was thwarted by Bognor keeper Dan Lincoln before seeing another effort flash across the face of goal. Ollie Pearce and Jimmy Mewett both headed over for the hosts prior to the interval, but Bognor upped their game in the second half and got the reward when Harvey White claimed possession deep in the town half and set up Adebayo to slot in the equaliser. Both teams attacked with vigour after this, and Chad Field and Dan Fraser went close for the hosts before Harry Ottaway headed Mickey Parcells cross against the bar at the other end. Townkeeper Nathan MacDonald did well to turn Adebayo's long-range effort behind on 81 minutes, but Lincoln did even better to claw away a curling effort from Bobby Devine, which appeared destined for the top corner. The final chance fell to the hosts, when Gary Charman's header was cleared from just in front of the line, and both teams ended up having to settle for a point for their efforts. Enfield Town hosts basement side Grays Athletic on Saturday at 3 p.m, before going to Tonbridge Angels on Tuesday, and that kick-offs at 7:45 p.m. Ticket prices have been cut by 50% for the Grays match, with adult prices reduced from £10 to £5 and concessions slashed to £3 from the usual £6.
Ashton draw for Saracens. A last-gasp try from Chris Ashton helped Saracens to snatch a 22-22 draw at the Scarlets on Sunday and book their place in the quarter-finals of the European Champions Cup. Despite producing a spirited display with a severely depleted side, Sarries had looked to be heading for a rare defeat until a great break from Owen Farrell set up Ashton to score his second try of the match deep in added on time. Farrell slotted over the conversion with the final kick of the contest as Sarries reached the knockout stages for a sixth successive year, although the draw did prevent them from claiming a record 14th straight win in Europe's premier club competition. Nathan Earle, who secured a late call-up into the side after Chris Wiles and Sean Maitland were forced to withdraw, marked his European debut for a Saracens side missing numerous key players by scoring their other try, while Alex Lozowski produced a hugely impressive display in an unfamiliar position of full-back. However, although they have already qualified for the knockout stages, Sarries will still almost certainly need to win at home to Toulon on Saturday, kick-off at 3:15 p.m, if they are to secure a home tie in the last 8. We made a lot of mistakes. Our penalty count was high and we were poor at the breakdown, said Director of Rugby Mark McCall. But we found a way to be resilient and score that try. To find a way to get 2 points out of the game is a good achievement. We will be playing to win the pool and, more importantly, for a home quarter-final. It was more important to try and get a home tie than break the record for successive wins. But if we have to go away, we don't mind. We will have a lot of good players to come back into the team.
And football now. Cockfosters hit by a last-gasp leveller. Cockfosters were denied victory by virtually the last kick of the game as their Spartan Premier Division clash at Oxy Jets on Saturday ended in a thrilling 3-3 draw. In form, Cockfosters twice came from behind and looked as if they had snatched all 3 points when they went ahead for the first time in the 5th minute of stoppage time. But Oxley went back on the attack straight from the kick-off and crushed the visitors' hopes of securing a 10th successive win by grabbing a 97th minute equaliser, with the final whistle blowing as soon as play restarted. Ioannis Varoufakis scored twice to take his total for the season up to 22, while Ben Hart was also on target for a Cockfosters side who remains second in the table. It's another game unbeaten, but it's just hard to take when you concede so late on, said manager Dean Barker. We came from behind twice in a fairly even first half, but I thought we controlled the game in the second half and created a number of chances. Ioannis has been terrific all season. He's probably missed between 10 and 15 games, and he doesn't take any penalties, so he could have ended up getting a lot more goals. And Cockfosters have been rewarded for their fine form by being named the Spartan Premier Division's Team of the Month for December. Meanwhile, the past week has seen Cockfosters strengthen their squad by making 3 signings. Emmanuel Melford-Rowe has returned to the club following a spell with Welwyn Garden City, while striker Bradley Harrison has joined from Broxbourne Borough, and Adam Murad has made the move from Hertford Town.
Borough beaten on penalties. Middlesex Intermediate Cup exit for team against Pitshanger Dynamo. Enfield Borough's FC's dream run in the Middlesex Intermediate Cup came to an end last weekend after losing 4-3 on penalties to Pitshanger Dynamo in the quarter-final. The match at the Queen Elizabeth Stadium ended 2-2 at full time. However, the Spartan South Midlands Division 2 side were unable to score their last penalty, which allowed the visitors to progress to the semi-finals. Elsewhere, Enfield 1893 earned a 1-1 draw against Eton Manor FC at Barrows Lane in the only Essex Senior League game that took place on Monday evening. Both sides had good chances to open the scoring in the first half, but it was 1893 who eventually broke the deadlock. In the 46th minute, Jaden Hocking-Rising scored through a lob from 20 yards out. However, Manor did not give in during the second half, and the visitors looked the more likely to score. Their eventual pressure paid off, and in the 90th minute they found their equaliser. After a long throw was flicked on, the Enfield keeper managed to keep out the initial shot, but the rebound was tapped in from close range.
And now some local rugby. Ignatians back on track with convincing win. Enfield Ignatians responded in the best way following last week's heavy defeat to HAC as they beat London Nigerians 24-3 in London 2 North West. The hosts produced a dominant display as the blue and golds were 12-3 in front at the interval following tries from Cairo Sango and Luke Ellis. Sango looched onto Jordan Wilson's pinpoint kick, which fell behind the defence, and Ellis stole the ball from Nigerians' grasp after the visitors had originally won a defensive line-out. Ignatians remained in the ascendancy in the second half and made sure the game was in their grasp after Sando latched onto a small kick from Wilson and Luke Stack charged over from close range in the final minute. The victory came to a close when Jake Bates added 2 conversions to their score to avenge their 43-24 loss to their opponents back in October. Coach Ali Cook said, "I was hoping all week that the HAC defeat would provoke a reaction and thought that the players really looked themselves in the mirror after the previous game and deserved the win from the first minute. The great thing was that our try line wasn't breached. We moved up a couple of notches and played the game in the right areas of the field. It was a really great team effort from 1 to 18 with all players used."
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of John, Ali, Darren and Danny and Phillip on the controls, it's
Goodbye.
cheerio. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking newspaper on 0208 805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.